happy now? Are you happy now?
And this is Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast here on the Destructoid YouTube channel and streaming over on Twitch. I'm Brett Medlock, head of video here at Destructoid, here today with a great panel of people. I'll start things off with Greg Vargas. Greg, writer over at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Along with him is Mary Stowe, social media manager and host here at Destructoid. How are you, Mary?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. And then we have John Frisha, indie developer and senior editor, or managing editor to be exact, over at The Escapist. How you doing, John?
I'm happy to be here with you, Brett.
Awesome, awesome. And lastly, we got the guy who's way too attractive to be on this podcast, Brett Larson, all-around cool guy and passionate gaming enthusiast. How you doing, Brett?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. And yes, I just had to read all of that because it's just too many people that I was like, okay, I don't want to mess this up this time.
That was
What happened to King of the Dilfs? The Dilf King.
Yes, that's a classic already.
Was that is that a
next
thing?
time? Brett. That's you, King of the Dilfs.
It says it by your name.
Oh,
right
that's
now.
me. Oh, wow. Okay. I like this.
Today's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk all about Kirby. Hopefully, most people on this panel played the demo. I did, and I liked it a lot. And along with that, we're going to jump into what we're playing and probably talk about some awesome woman characters in gaming since it is International Women's Day. I feel like that'd be fun just to highlight some great characters throughout the years that we all love. And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot going on here in Nintendo land, but we are going to talk about what we're playing. So that'll span across all platforms and we'll talk about everything at that point. So without further ado, let's get on into it. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I've called this game Kirby and the Forbidden West like 10 times on accident because of Horizon.
You barely played either of them.
Exactly. Well,
And what's funny is they both kind of have like the whole dystopian world too. So it's like they kind of almost in a way or have the same feel to them as well. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that always surprised me with this game. As soon as it was revealed, a post-apocalyptic Kirby game, it's just funny to even say that out loud. But the demo's finally here, and I'm going to toss it to you guys all around. Let's start with Mary. How did you feel about the Kirby demo that recently came out?
I really liked it. I haven't played a lot of Kirby. I can't remember which one I started and never finished like years ago. It's been that long. But this one I'm like, I kind of want to keep playing it. So I'm going to add it to my ever-growing backlog of video games. But I had a lot of fun with it. It's
never
really
ending.
Never ending, yeah. I meant to say ever-growing, but anyway. But yeah, like music's really good. I had a lot of fun. I see like little Link Kirby. I call him Link Kirby is on the screen right now. Like as a huge Zelda fan, I'm like, oh hey, this feels like Link's Awakening for the Switch. But it was fun.
Yeah, I actually really liked it a lot, even more so than I was expecting. And got to shout out Mouthful Mode, which is actually my favorite part of the game so far. I actually had a lot of fun utilizing all the different things. They have like little special abilities. The cone in particular, I thought was the most fun. How you can just jump up and just break things, which was just really cool. Now, I have plenty more to say, but first, I'll toss it to Greg. Did you play the demo?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think?
And this, like I was saying last time, like I have to get myself geared up to kind of, I don't know, maybe it's like going back to your younger days in gaming and like what made you really fall in love with gaming. But like I started out the first level and I was like a little bit anxious and excited, and then I was like found my like moment of zen, and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for, just to be able to platform, just to have stupid fun, especially like getting the bombs and just like throwing them out everywhere and blowing stuff up, and even the soda machine the same way.
Yes.
I did like the fact
soda machine.
Yeah, like I like the fact that there's so many like inanimate objects that they decided to turn into fun things, like the cone, the soda machine, the car. They never feel like really out of place, within this world. Like, it could be, street filled with cars, and it would really detract from what they're trying to do here. And it's just like this is like dumb, fun arcade style gameplay, and just the fact that it's Kirby and his eye animations too throughout the demo is like, I just thought it was completely silly. And I'm 100% here for it, and I'm so glad that I pre-ordered it because I did see some things, like some of the animations in the distance that look a little iffy. But I mean, if you're not really paying attention to that and you're paying attention to the atmosphere where the little environment that Kirby's in as he's progressing the level, then I mean, it doesn't really take away from the experience, and it is just a demo. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, what you were saying about like getting in your like Zen mode or whatever with this game, I've sort of been feeling that with like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which is a game I'm playing, and when I played this, it immediately brought me to that same spot where it's like, okay, I'm in the mood for this type of game right now. Like Brett on the panel, he always talks about how he'll just get into this mode where he'll play like the same type of game over and over and over. Like Brett, like what'd you play through? Like a bunch of random artsy indie games or something like that recently?
Yeah, and they were all like 2D indies too. Like every single one of them, there was like 4 or 5 within like 2 weeks, like 2 3-hour games that I just played back to back to back, and like I couldn't get enough of them. I don't know why. Like I could not. That was just like I was totally into it. Like just to name a couple of them, there was like a Juggler's Tale. There was
immediately forgot.
Gosh, I can't remember the names.
Just so
anyway,
many.
Just so
no,
many.
but there's gosh dang it, what was the name of that one? Ina's
Describe
something.
it.
Anyways, it was the. I'll look it up. It's one that's brand new on Switch. It came out like a month ago. Ina's Tale. Anyways, they all kind of had like that same feel to them, like the artsy 2D games where you kind of like use certain objects to solve puzzles to get through the world. Those type of games, and like I just totally got into that. There was Planet Alpha was one of them. I don't know if you guys have ever played any of that. It's like they're all kind of like Inside. I absolutely adore Inside, and they weren't like that dark tone that Inside is, but that kind of same thing where you're getting from one side of the screen to the like from A to B, and you have to figure out how to get there through solving certain like little puzzles along the way. But yeah, it 100%, just like he said, I just got in like this mode where that's all I wanted to play. And like, there could be this big giant AAA game in my face. And like, that's all I wanted to play is these little indies.
Yeah. And bringing it back around now, that's what I was getting at was like, I'm not in the mood for Horizon Forbidden West right now. I'm in the mood for a game like this. And I think this game's going to hit at the perfect time for me because this is what I'm in the mood to play. So I'm super excited for this game. Now, John, I haven't asked you what you think about Kirby. Did you get around to playing it?
Nah, I don't really care.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Didn't care. Buzzkill on the panel.
That hurt. I mean, that hurt a little bit.
It's all right.
No,
John,
I say every week.
Good old cold-hearted John.
I say every week I say every week that this Kirby game looks really good. It's just that it falls into that category of game that I'll just never find time to play because there's like a bunch of other things I'm going to play first. So
let me know when
I
you're
hope
ready
everybody
to take the
loves
knife.
it because it looks good.
Let me know when you're ready to take the knife out of my chest. I'm waiting.
He pushes
I like
in
where
more.
it is.
Now, Brett, you sort of talked about Kirby a little bit, but how did you feel about the demo?
I liked it a lot. It has been a game that I have been like kind of quietly, I guess not so quietly if you're in like one of my circle of people that I talk with, but kind of quietly anticipating. And like Mary, I have not really ever been a big Kirby fan in terms of like playing a lot of the games, but it's been one that's been on my radar with all these huge games in February and March. But for some reason, there's just something about it that I've known all along I'm going to like. And yeah, man, it scratched that itch when I played it last night. It did everything I was hoping it was going to do. And like you said, like, and this is kind of expected. The best part of it were when you find those key items that you can inhale and then you turn into whatever that is. And you have that special ability. Like for some reason, I wrote Brett last night. I was like, dude, the soda machine is so cool. I love the soda machine when you turn into that.
So funny.
And I just hope that it uses those key items a little bit in terms of like solving puzzles. Because that's for me, I don't know, that's part of like going back to those indies that I love is using objects in a game to like figure out how to get from point A to point B. And so I hope that like it isn't just I'm using this key item for one stretch of that level and then you're done with it and you never use it again. I hope it's more like you use the cone to go through a floor to get down low, to get into the car, to go into another section. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of like strategize how to use each key item to get through certain areas. I think that would be really cool. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like it is going to do that to a certain degree, because there are certain parts of the level that I like peered around, and like there was this like part where you turn the building and it looks like you can go inside and stuff. But I will say though that kind of related to that, the game overall, like it's so weird that Kirby never went really like full leaning into 3D, because this feels such like a natural transition for the franchise to move into this space.
Yeah. And it's still not even fully 3D, but it's a big step in the right direction, I think.
I was surprised. There was a moment when I used my right thumbstick and I was like, why can I not turn it? I was almost expecting to be able to turn it all the way, and it like stopped me. So
I did that too. I was like trying to look around and I was like, wait, oh yeah, it doesn't do this.
Yeah.
But you can still like, I that's what I also found interesting. You can like peer down to like certain ledges. So I think they're going to utilize it as like maybe like a secret finding tool or something.
Yeah, and shout out to them finally adding, even if it's not really that significant. I haven't tried the easier mode. I don't really know how easy it is, but they added a slightly more difficult mode. And if you've played any of the modern Kirby games, they are way too easy, which is fine. They're obviously for kids. All right, it's Kirby we're talking about, but a lot of the older games had a bit more of a challenge to it, and it seems like this one could be more like the older games in terms of the challenge for older gamers now.
Oh, so you like that there's accessibility options?
Yeah, but kind of the opposite direction. It's harder than how easy it is.
Interesting.
Kirby's just been sort of just drifting on by throughout the past like 2 console generations, where like the games come out, they get reviewed kind of mediocre to average, sometimes good range, but no one really ever talks about them. But with the Switch, it's really dominated in a lot of franchises that don't typically do very well. I mean, like a game like Astral Chain sold over 1 million units. Like that's a pretty big deal. I think this game might actually end up like being really good for the series overall, and I think it's going to sell well. And I think they might keep on building upon this and maybe doing like that full 3D Kirby game that I think everyone would like. You know?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be like one of their flagship long slow burn titles, like Mario Kart. You know, it's always going to be at the top of the charts. It's always.
I don't know about
sell.
the tip top, but I think it'll sell pretty decent.
I still think it'll be in their top 10. I think it'll be in our top 10.
I don't know, man.
So.
There's just nothing, like we just talked about it, that like before we started, there's just what else is really going on right now. Like I think this has a chance to really make some, like, to get to the, the top of the charts for Nintendo games at least.
Yeah,
maybe not for it might not have long legs, but I think it could do pretty well for a few months.
Yeah, it's like one of those attachment games where it's like, okay, the kids are getting a Switch for Christmas. What games do we get? A Mario? What else? Mario Kart? Oh, how about Zelda and Kirby? Like you have, staple franchises like that. And I think it'll probably outsell Metroid.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's probably enough for
most
for
things
Nintendo.
outsell Metroid though.
Yeah, Metroid is
true.
Didn't Metroid pass like a big number, or it's like almost to 2 million or 3 million or something like that? Like
2.5 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I can't remember what
the Switch, man, like games have been performing extra well on it. Like a 2D Metroid game did really well. Hopefully the 3D one does even better. But yeah, Kirby, it's fun. Mary, any final thoughts on Kirby?
I look forward to playing more of it. That's about it. So, but yeah, like just agree with like what y'all said. It's a game that's gonna be one of those ones I go to where it's like I just need to have fun. I just need to like not stress and have a good time. I think this is gonna be a good game for that.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with because there's a final boss in the game, like it's in the 3rd level that's not on the home screen until you beat the 2nd level. And I'm playing on the slightly harder difficulty or whatever, and it was decently challenging. And for being the first boss in the game, I assume, unless this is like starting midway through the game, but I think this is the beginning. It was actually decently challenging, like just like picking up those things that boss is dropping right now and then just tossing it back at him. And like the only thing I feel like the game is missing when it comes to the combat is some type of dash or like dodge
Yeah.
like move.
Yep.
Because
That
Kirby's
was
really slow when he's jumping and he's going boop 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 like.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's part of what you'll gain as the game goes on. I felt like it was very basic. There's like the little flappy jump thing, and then the inhale. One thing I was thinking earlier is like anything you can call that inhale, suck.
Sounds weird.
Every word you can think of that is all bad. Like suck, inhale, swallow, like everything is just bad. What do you call that?
What's the safest word, Greg? Give it to us.
Consume.
There you go.
That's so boring. Who wants to say I consumed a cone?
I mean, suck the skin off their bodies. I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Kirby. I think it's going to be really good and hopefully better than the last one, because the last one was fine, but it was just so easy that it was just like kind of boring, you know? Now, speaking of boring, I'm just kidding. I was going to bring up Horizon.
You talk about your sex life?
I knew you were doing it. I knew you were doing it. I was ready for it. I mean, it's not even going to hurt my feelings at this point.
I'm just doing it literally to make you mad. I think the game's good. I just haven't felt like playing it that much. But anyway, so there's not much to go over, obviously. So let's go ahead and jump on into some of our favorite women in video games. And I'm going to go first for once. I'm going to go ahead and say, because I don't want Brett to steal it, Ada Wong from the Resident Evil series. She's one of my favorites. She's a mystery. I love the characters that are like, are they bad or are they good? Are they going to betray me? I don't know. There's something hot about it. And so that's why
the truth comes out.
Choke me, but hold me.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, these are my favorite types of characters. The ones that you don't really know what to expect. Same with shows like Game of Thrones, where it's like they start off a bad character, but then sooner or later they finally become good, and then you're rooting for them, but they literally like are a terrible person who killed kids or something.
It's like the Negan effect from The Walking Dead.
100%, yeah, the Negan effect. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out her, specifically the old voice actress who was in Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. She stuck around for a long time. She was even the dub over the actress for the live action movie, like the 4th movie or something. So yeah, that version of Ada, this new version, no, get out of my life, please. Just bring back the old voice actors. Capcom, performance matters. Continuity matters. Quit recasting and changing the way your characters look, please, Capcom. I'm talking to you. It's getting old. I want old Leon back. I want old Chris back. They did bring old Chris's look back, which is solid, after changing it in Resident Evil 7. That was just bizarre and weird. But then they changed his voice actor for like the 7th time. Bring back the same voice actor from Resident Evil 5 and call it a day. Now, Brett, what's a good woman in games?
They're never going to change. Look at they just did to Ryu or however you say his name. He looks like he swallowed a tank.
That's true.
They're never going to have continuity.
It's like Kirby swallowed a vending machine.
He looks like wide Kylo Ren. What do you call that?
Wide Kylo Ren is what I call him.
Yeah.
the
That's
Ben
very
Stiller.
bizarre. Yeah, so I'm the old guy in the podcast. So to me, it's got to be Lara Croft. Like for me, growing up with the PlayStation 1 as my golden era, and of course I had Nintendo SNES as a kid, but like when I really got into gaming was PS1 era. And man, Lara Croft in an era where it was like so full of men in games and so full of these badass dudes that were main characters, like she was just a badass, like fighting dinosaurs and bears. And I'll never forget the scene in Tomb Raider 1, spoilers in case anyone wants to go out and play Tomb Raider 1. But when she's in the cave and she's running towards the camera and there's a T-Rex following her, like that was like one of the most like monumental moments in gaming for me ever. Like it was so cool. So Lara Croft is definitely got to probably be at, like if I was to pick one, it's Lara Croft.
Such
also back in that day was Jill.
Answer, Brett. Come on.
But it's true though, man. Like she was great. Jill Valentine was great too. Like Resident Evil was such an
Hey, everybody gets one, Brett. You can't just keep on
well,
going.
Dude, she's the master of unlocking. I have to bring her up.
Mary, what about
That's
you?
my one.
Yeah,
I have to go with Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
Right.
Like Fem Shep, she's a badass. She's powerful. She's strong. Jennifer Hale's performance as Commander Shepard is absolutely just out of this world. But like, I also got really attached to my Fem Shep because I played that trilogy repeatedly when I was in college. So like, I got like a really strong like emotional connection like to my Fem Shep, to like her journey. It was the first cosplay like I ever did, sort of thing. So Commander Shepard has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I feel bad because every time I play through the Mass Effect games, I always choose the male one, even though I've always heard that Fem Shep is so much better. But like, I always try to relive my first experience with the trilogy, so I'm like, I don't want to change it. I just want to do exactly what I did last time. So I end up never making any different choices or anything. I just be the same person. I romance the same person every game. But yeah,
which is funny that you pick the male Shep, because you always tell me that if there's an option, you always pick the female character as your protagonist. So that's weird that you pick the male Shep.
It usually just depends on the game. Like, I think typically what I do, and I like, this is really weird, but like, I'll pick whatever one the default option is on, because I feel like that's the one the developer wants you to choose. So, but it might not be true, but that's just what I always feel. Like, I don't change the way Shepard looks either. I keep it the default look. Like, that's how they wanted him to look. Why would I change it? You know, that's their vision. But yeah, Fem Shep's a good choice for sure. And Jennifer Hale's like in so many games and is so great at acting. So, yeah,
she's amazing.
Greg, what about you?
I would have to say Claire Redfield.
There we go. Another Resident Evil.
The third Resident Evil
character. It's almost like the performance and continuity matters for these Resident Evil characters.
One of the funniest things about, like you said, and I find myself doing this often, like I almost never choose a like male character in a game, mostly because like, I don't know, like, yeah, I'm some like bro dude in this space environment. Like, I have no relation to that. I'd rather just have like, a character and an experience and something that I wouldn't normally experience, and just give me a little taste of that. And not only that, Resident Evil 2 is like one of my all-time favorite games. I'm surprised 14-year-old me got my grandma to buy it, told her it was not a bad game at all. There was no violence in it. And I played through it multiple times, both Leon and Claire, and I just found myself enjoying her character and finding that we both had this like chip on our shoulder, and like, I don't know, and I really enjoyed Code Veronica. And maybe it was just because of the Dreamcast, maybe it was because you continued playing as Claire, and then you go through like the CGI films, Resident Evil Damnation and Degeneration. She's still my favorite. And I don't know, I just always felt this like kind of like attachment to her as a character, and always wanted to see her represented in the games and film. And I don't think I'll ever stop appreciating her as one of the main characters in the Resident Evil franchise, especially Revelations, was just another awesome experience playing as her. So yeah, all-time favorite probably.
Yeah. Nice. And speaking of that, since I already went on one Resident Evil rant, at the end of Resident Evil 8, whenever Chris calls in backup, why would they not bring in some characters that we know? Like, imagine if Claire showed up at the end of that game. That would be amazing.
That was a missed opportunity for sure.
It's just a bunch of random like soldier men when it could have been like Sheva from Resident Evil 5 or his sister,
Yeah.
Sheva, wow.
Get me into Capcom.
Can you imagine?
And just let me write these games, please. But John, your last one on the list. What's one of your favorite women in games? Woman.
Well, real quick, I'll just mention Samus because Nintendo podcast and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
This is a Nintendo podcast.
Said that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. I kept waiting to see if anybody would mention her, but like,
I'm actually
surprised. I mean, Samus was like one of the first like major like famous girl heroines. Like until Lara Croft, like there wasn't really any other. I can't think of any other like particularly big ones that were the main character, at least.
Hmm.
And even then, you know, Metroid was like niche for most of its existence. So even Samus wasn't like major. But I wanted to give her a quick shout out because she is like super strong and she's constantly beating everybody at like everything, which is pretty cool.
Hunter. Yeah.
And
True.
but I'm gonna go with like a more obscure pick. Well, unless you like play a lot of RPGs. On Sega Genesis, there was the game Phantasy Star 4. And at the start of the game, you play as, well, the main character is Chaz, but then there's also this other main character named Alice, who's like his mentor, and she like throws like this like sharp boomerang and stuff, and she's like an ace, like kind of like not a mercenary, but like something in that vein. Like she does like the odd jobs fighting all the monsters. Like she's kind of like a monster hunter, yeah. And she's just like really cool and she's tough and she's kind of that Samus type of person where like she's like already got her act together, like she's gone through the journey, like she's a complete human who like she knows what she's about and she like takes care of business. And like usually when you start an RPG, it's like only a character like Chaz, where it's like here's this dude, he's learning the world, he's gonna become powerful and stuff, but like so it's cool to have that counterpoint where there's already this woman who's like totally with it, and she's like one of the really more interesting characters in the game, and so Alice sticks out to me.
Nice. Oh, of course John would pick someone from an old ass RPG.
Yep.
And you're not going to knock Brett for Lara Croft?
No, I didn't. What do you mean? I made fun of him.
He did already, yeah. He told me what a boring pick.
But when Brett picked Lara Croft, he didn't casually throw in, oh yeah, and she's sexy, you know.
Yeah, I didn't say because, yeah, exactly.
No, I didn't say she was. I said
go.
the situation of not knowing. The mystery. Have you seen the Batman recently? And Selena, like, there's that dynamic. It's the exact same as Leon and Ada. Anyway, next up, John.
So you want Robert Pattinson to play Leo?
Leon, actually, he'd be.
He could make a good with the hair.
He'd be bad, actually. If they did his hair, yeah, that would. That's
his
actually,
already
dude,
like
you're
that.
onto something there.
The thing about the live action version of Leon is you could tell they put a crazy ass haircut on a guy who would never have that haircut.
His hair doesn't. Yeah, that'd be like giving me that haircut. Like,
yeah, could you imagine?
Yeah.
I like Robert
I still gotta see that movie.
It's good. I liked it.
It was good.
Yeah,
I like him, but
no,
he just
I meant the new Resident Evil.
Oh no! Don't say it.
That was not Leon.
Don't.
Oh my god, I could rant about that movie. That movie. It's so
Trust
bad.
me, you will live a long, happy life if you don't watch it.
Exactly.
I mean, that kind of goes to say for like all Resident Evil stuff outside the games.
Yeah, aside from like the first movie, which was passable, the second movie was probably
okay
passable too.
Yeah.
But then it went off the rails. Like, there's
Yeah.
people. What are they thinking with these movies? Like, how is it possible? Like, get someone in there who knows the games.
Well,
It was
like
a complete
the part where
fan
she's like
disservice.
jumping. The part where she's like jumping up the wall to like avoid these lasers coming through the hallway. I'm like, that's not Resident Evil. Like,
It's
come
Matrix.
on.
It was around the time Matrix came out, and they're like, we gotta do that, but with zombies.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does reek of the early 2000s though.
For sure.
Welcome to the second episode of the Resident Evil podcast.
Gosh damn right. Dude, but you want to know what's so funny about that too? Even before the first Resident Evil came out, like the movie, I remember as a kid like looking up like this like supposed leaked script, and they had like, oh, this couple's in the forest, and like I was like, it's gonna be so cool to see that one day on the big screen. And it like, aside from the CGI movies, like it still has not happened.
Dude, the
like,
CGI movies are pretty terrible too, though.
No, they're not.
The first one was passable. The second one, The last like 2 or 3 or however many. Did you see the part with Chris and Leon doing the gun war? They're literally running in circles.
Where they're on the roof and they're just yeah, best part. 10 out of 10.
That's the worst thing.
That was Chris and Leon?
No, it was Leon and somebody else.
Chris and someone else.
Was it Chris and someone else? I thought it was Leon and someone else.
Leon was in like a hallway doing the same thing.
They're just so fast, dude.
Clip Gunn's clip never ended. They shot like 70 times and they never reloaded.
Maybe they have a 70-round clip, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Such
like
a hater.
extremely talented.
I didn't even watch the latest animated series because I had to put my foot down because they recasted Leon, and I'm done. I'm done supporting their recast.
That was okay.
They're never gonna stop recasting Leon, Brett.
It's the same Leon from Resident Evil 2 remake, but this is adult Leon. Like in Resident Evil 2 remake, I gave it the pass. He's younger, he's new to the Force. It was okay. But they bring in another animated movie and it's old adult, like more muscular, mature looking Leon, and he sounds like a 17-year-old. It just doesn't match at all. Like it's and then in Japan, he's had the same voice actor since like Resident Evil 4. They haven't recasted him one time. It's the same
guy.
Figured
out in Japan, yeah.
Same guy, all the same characters.
I'm sure it's one of those things where they have to define voice actors through the whatever the voice actors guild is. Yeah.
Unions and stuff.
I watched this interview with the Claire voice actress. She was upset because she got recast, and she was saying that someone took over the voice acting like agency in California, and then they decided to let everyone go and just hire all their friends in California, which is not where anyone else was.
Whack.
Yeah, basically just to save money. And Matthew Mercer, who played Leon, he took over for Leon after Resident Evil 4. He actually responded to me and said that he was going to be in Resident Evil 2 remake, but then they went with a different agency, so then he couldn't do it anymore. So that like broke my heart because I would have loved if he continued the voice acting for Leon, even though he wasn't in RE4, my favorite Leon. He still sounded almost just like Leon, but a little older, which I thought was perfect.
Honestly, I wish it was more of a complex problem than that.
What?
If not for Brett, I would never have known that any of these voices changed or that anything changed at all.
Dude, it matters to me, man. I don't know. Like, could you imagine if Spider-Man comes out? Actually, I mean, this is a pretty good example. Like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire was in the first Spider-Man movie. In the second one, he was almost replaced by what's his face, Jake Gyllenhaal. That would have been really jarring, and it would have been like, what? It's just a totally different person now, but it's the same story. That's how I feel about these Resident Evil recasts. This is all supposed to be the same continuity since the very beginning, but they keep changing not only the voice actors, but how they look drastically.
Yeah,
or like in Walking Dead season 3, Rick is a different actor. You know, like
they just don't even acknowledge
what's going on here. Yeah, they just pretend like it didn't happen.
And he's like way different in terms of height and size, like and like muscularity.
Wide Rick.
Yeah, wide Rick out of nowhere.
Boulder punching Rick.
Exactly.
No, but I what I was saying is I wish the problem was a lot more complex than like, oh yeah, we just changed agencies and my friend got the job instead. Like, come on, man.
It's so lame.
You got to think that there's a way around that. I mean, these people are smart. They can figure out something. And if it's a matter of like trying to save money, come on. Like, you really need to save money. Like these companies are
they
doing
got plenty of
fine.
money.
Like how much?
They're just going to keep shelling out the same movies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It is weird. It's very bizarre.
As someone who's a big
maybe they can just hire the people from the footage that Eric has on screen from the original game. Those A-tier actors.
Yeah, there's this channel, this YouTube channel called Residents of Evil, and they've done a lot of interviews with a lot of like these. Like they had someone from this clip and on their show, and
nice.
While they were shooting this, they had literally no idea what it was, and then they didn't find out what it was even for until like 20 years later, where they're like, "Oh, that's me. That's what I did that for."
Wow.
They're like, "This is for a Street Fighter. Let's gear up."
It's just
that's hilarious, actually.
The Wesker
just
dude
imagine like
cool.
finding out that the
Wesker dude looks spot on.
Yeah, like you're one of the most iconic franchises, the first entry in it ever.
That's literally how they found out.
Your nephew's playing. You're like, what the hell? That's me.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the guy in the original Mortal Kombat commercial who screamed Mortal Kombat, and then the marketing just decided to keep using that guy's scream for the next 20 plus years.
Dude, forever.
Yeah. It's just an iconic yell that he's like forever. He's been heard by millions of people across the world.
Yeah, it was just perfect.
Speaking of terrible video game movies, Mortal Kombat was absolutely awful.
You shut your
they were
mouth.
thinking.
Shut
Greg, you
your
did not like
mouth.
that.
It was
that.
absolutely
I
awesome.
thought it got a.
What was the main character?
That
He
movie
wasn't any of.
ruled.
You know what? Go
I didn't
consume
like
a dick.
What? The callback.
Go consume one.
We're coming full circle this podcast.
Go keep on
consume
coming
it.
full circle.
Oh, here's my thing with Mortal Kombat. I will agree with you. I thought it was dumb that the main character was like a character that's not even a Mortal Kombat. He had nothing to do with any of the games. But it was all worth it for me. That last fight, that last like 30 minutes was all worth it for me. I thought that was fantastic.
I thought
you meant modern Mortal Kombat.
What's that?
The recent one that released.
I'm talking about the new one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So that movie.
Anyone who badmouths the original one is a monster.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not.
I take that back. I'm sorry, Brett.
Oh, okay.
Consumable penises.
But yeah, the main character, his special, it was making it seem like he was going to like carry on Scorpion's power. In the long time ago, Scorpion used like a rope. I thought whenever he actually got his mystical power, it was gonna be the actual like out of the hand, like get over here thing. But then he just got some freaking police batons and some Nike Under Armour as his superpower. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? So yeah.
The part that sucks about this movie, because I'll agree most of it is ass, but the part that sucks is the scene that they showed. Remember when they showed off a scene and I was like, dude, this shit looks incredible. The scene that they showed, it was like a 5 or 10 minute like scene that you could watch before it dropped. And then like when you're watching that, I think it's like the opening scene even, where the very opening Sub-Zero goes and kills that guy's family. Like that's awesome. And you're like, dude, this is going to be unbelievable. And then the rest of it's like following this like douchebag. Like who is this guy? Like why do we care about him? And like I don't know. I thought the final scene was pretty decent too.
He's a family man.
He's a family guy. But I thought the opening scene was good. The last scene was good, and the middle was just awful.
Whenever I think his name's Goro, right? Whenever he comes in and he's at the guy's house and his family's there, and then that's whenever he gets his power to fight back and save his family.
Yeah.
Just imagine, because like Goro was running towards them to like kill them. Just imagine if he was running at them and then from behind you see the freaking thing like come out of his mouth. And then he pulls back and he says, "Get over here!" And he pulls them back. I'll just imagine how awesome that would have been. But no, he had freaking stupid police batons.
Yeah, I can't even remember what his power was.
Well, I think he could like absorb like the kinetic energy. I think he was one of those guys. Like he could like take the damage in and then send it back. And what's funny about that is it doesn't literally make him invincible, but like kind of does. And it like falls into this like really funny tradition of like I don't read any, but like it's a common trope in fan fiction where like somebody will like throw themselves into the story and just all of a sudden that character happens to be like the most powerful one in the story. And like it totally feels like this like OP fan fiction character is like, here's our new guy, he absorbs all the attacks, he killed Goro right away.
Yeah, that's true.
And also the movie opens up putting emphasis on the fact that he's not a very good fighter. And then he becomes the best in the world.
Yeah, he's doing like these amateur fights and getting his ass whooped, and then all of a sudden he ends up being like the biggest badass on the planet. Like within a week span, that didn't compute to me. I will say that the last thing I'll give him credit for is Kano was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, awesome.
He was just such a piece of shit. He was such a piece of shit.
Yeah, he was.
I'm a total apologist for this movie because like it stuck true to its vision, and its vision was a fight scene every 5 minutes. That should be the formula for all action movies like forever now. Like you can't go 5 minutes without somebody having a problem with somebody, and then they start throwing down. Like remember when they go to the desert, Kano and Sonya and made up dude. They're going to the desert.
Cole.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't ask me why I even remember
they've
that.
been walking.
My son's name. That's
they've been walking and talking, but it's been too many minutes without a fight, so all of a sudden there's an argument and there's a fight scene in the desert for no reason because that's the rules. And when that happened, I was like, yes, this movie gets it. And that's the whole movie. Like I can't possibly complain about a movie that's just, it knows what it is.
It's terrible. Now let's get on to what we're playing. I'll go ahead and toss it to Greg first. Greg, what have you been playing? Did you continue Earthbound?
A little bit. I played a little bit. Didn't advance very far. Played a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. Still on stream on Mondays. I was like trying to determine if I'm even going to keep streaming that, but I played that a little bit more. Got a little farther. I actually got to a point where like you're supposed to like finish up like clearing these camps. And then I was like, oh my God, I didn't blow this barrel. There's like this big gas pile that you're supposed to blow. And I was like, oh my God, all these people are chasing me. And I blew it up and I was like, oh, glad that's over. Because there was like 30 enemies coming at me. But then it saves and you still have to kill like all 30 enemies that are on screen. And I was like, this is not fun. And then made it out of that, got to a save point. Continued grinding some Apex, trying to get up to back to platinum level. And played a little bit of Rocket League. Not as good as I wanted to do to get up into the next rank. Still stuck in Diamond Division 3. Trying to think
Every
what else
game you
I've
just mentioned is available on Nintendo Switch, just so you know.
Does it play well though?
Apex, you might want to pass, but Rocket League's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'll give it that. Rocket League is pretty good on the Switch. Oh, and then I booted up Forza Horizon 5 again, just to go back and clean up some of my backlog and played that a little bit more. So just kind of bounced around.
Did you become a racing legend yet in Forza?
No.
Okay. I really liked that they added like a somewhat campaign to that game to at least make it feel like you completed something, because Forza Horizon 4 basically just never has an end goal. There's nothing to complete. You just do races, and then that's the game. There's no campaign or story, story in quotes. But yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah, last thing I wanted to say was it does perform pretty well on the Series S in both like the quality and performance mode. I was playing in quality and switched it back, but I never exited the game to restart it into performance. But I mean, it played just fine. I'm pretty sure it's at 30 FPS, but it felt okay.
In quality mode, yeah, on Series S, it's 30. I was just glad that they were able to get that game running at 60 on Series S. That's a pretty big accomplishment for the limited, I think it's RAM that it's lacking or something like that. I don't know that much about hardware. Yeah, it's pretty... Dude, the main thing that sucks about the Series S is, like, some developers can really kill it and get the most out of this machine, and I'm, like, amazed. Like, what was that game that was on Game Pass that was surprising? Square-Enix published game. Shooter.
Outriders?
Outriders. That Series S version ran at 1440p, 60 frames per second. Great. Solid port. And then we get games like Cyberpunk, like the brand new Cyberpunk version, where on Series S it's just totally lacking. 30 FPS, doesn't have the high quality textures of the other versions. Like, it's just lacking all around. So it sucks that sometimes they're so hit or miss on that console, because I love that console. I play it the most because I'm in my son's room a lot, and that's what he has. Mary, what are you playing?
What am I playing? I made progress in Forbidden West. Still getting sidetracked though with exploring, and I'm finding things that I can't do yet because I still haven't progressed through the main story enough.
How far are you, Mary? Just curious, like level wise, do you know?
I think I'm level 17-ish.
Okay.
So I've put a good-ish amount of time into it. And then I think I'm getting close to finishing Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I thought I was done with it, and now 2 chapters later, I'm still going.
So the age-old story of every JRPG on the
planet.
Yeah.
And then the game that I play way too much of, and I don't know why I can't put it down, Dead by Daylight, is what I play with my friends when we just need to goof off and not take things seriously. So play way too much of that.
My son has been playing that a lot lately. I don't know if there was like a DLC that came out or like a new season or something. But
today I can't remember. Oh my gosh, the name. But the chick from The Ring is the new killer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Lord.
Okay. That's cool.
So that just came out today. So after this, probably I'm gonna be hitting up my friends and be like, "Hey, let's go survive for attempt 2."
That's one thing that's, even though I never played that game, that I always thought it was really cool is like all these like movies and TV shows that I love. It's like they're adapted into this game. It's like I want so badly to get into this game because it's so cool. Like some of the characters that are in it. So
yeah.
Like the Smash
this
Brothers
is like
for
horror.
movies.
That's what I was gonna say. Horror Super Smash Brothers. Yeah.
Do the characters
exactly,
stick around, or are they all like limited time?
Only one of them isn't available anymore. It's the Stranger Things. You can't buy the Survivors or the Demogorgon anymore because Netflix decided to not renew their contract. I think they're trying to like do their own Netflix gaming thing. But you can play as Leon and Claire and Jill. There's Nemesis from Resident Evil as the killer. So
that's cool. Yeah,
I'm a Leon main.
That's what I'm saying. Like it sounds so cool. I don't know. Maybe I just need to actually try it. Like give it a real chance.
Yeah,
they use the RE4 Leon jacket and everything.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, so that's the one that I prefer to run. It's one of those games you can't take too seriously though, otherwise you will get frustrated with it. So I do warn people about that going into it. I'm like, just go in to have fun.
Yeah.
I love how Resident Evil will just do like random like games. Like they were in like Monster Hunter at one point. Like Resident Evil stuff was. Right? Am I dreaming that, or was it a game?
Yeah,
like
it was a Monster Hunter.
I'm pretty sure that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, they were in the Division 2. There was randomly Resident Evil stuff in there, and now they're in this. They're just everywhere. It's almost as if the characters are iconic and they should be treated with respect.
And Can of Worms has been reopened.
Does Leon have voice lines in Dead by Daylight?
No.
If he does, don't tell him. Don't tell him.
No, it's just kind of like the yells and surprises. Yeah, there's not really any like actual voice acting.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Brett still wants to know if it was that actor that said "ah" though.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Are they just like skins? So is that why like do they all sound the same? Like all the girls sound the same, all the guys sound the same?
No, some of them they do have different voices. Because like Steve from Stranger Things was one of the loudest like guy characters. Like he would get hooked, and like me and my friends would just make fun of it. Like we would also like yell out because you could just hear him from across the map. Wherever he was.
Gosh.
It's funny because he was also one of those characters where I didn't like it first, and then he like, he
grew on you for sure.
Yeah.
I gotta look up who he is. I forgot. Steve.
The one with the cool hair, right?
Steve.
Yeah, he's the guy with the cool hair.
Yeah.
I
always liked him.
Steve.
Yeah, I always liked him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, for some reason, the first season one, he bugged me at first, and then like slowly but surely, like now he's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he was like
once her name broke his heart, like I was totally all about Steve.
He was humbled.
Yeah.
Yes, he was humbled. Yep.
Yep, for sure. Now, are you playing anything else, Mary? Anything you want to talk about?
Nope. That's it pretty much.
All right. Well, I know John is also playing Horizon Forbidden West, but probably not that much. He's probably playing Yakuza Kiwami 3, right?
No, Triangle Strategy.
Oh yeah, but that's the other main topic actually. So
yeah.
Before we get to you, John.
But actually, I did play a little Forbidden West. I got past the giant gateway thing, then a ton of people died, and now I can explore.
Nice.
I stopped right before the very first cauldron.
Oh man, you're just at the embassy? You were real early then.
A little past the embassy. Yeah, I haven't played much. Yeah.
I kept asking Brett because I was trying to figure out where he was, and he's like trying to tell me, and I was like, "Have you gotten to the embassy yet?" And he's like, "I'm not sure." And I'm like, "You would know the part if you've done the embassy, you would know that part." And he's like, "Well, I don't think so." I'm like, "Okay, you haven't done it then yet." Now, of course you have, but
now you're just progress shaming everybody.
Yeah, Brett, Mr. Well, I can play video games all day.
To be fair, that's the only game. That's the only game I'm playing, and everyone else is playing like multiple.
Yeah, where do you work? Aren't you supposed to be working?
Dude, stop! I'm on lunch right now. Would you stop?
You're talking to some potential customers. Actually, that's what you're doing.
Yes, I am talking to somebody. Yeah.
Business meeting.
Yeah.
But John or Brett, any new thoughts on Horizon?
I am enjoying it more now. I'm still like skipping like a ton of things, but like I'm having more fun with what I am choosing to play. Like it's like you guys know, like the map is so big and there's so many icons on that map, and like I have like neither the time nor the inclination to do everything. So I'm just like I'm just beelining to the parts of the map that look interesting to me. So like what I've done so far is like I wiped out 2 bandit camps, I think, or something that was like the equivalent of a bandit camp, and maybe they called it something else, but like it was a bandit camp. Like I enjoy murdering everybody.
Yeah, murdering things is fun.
Yeah.
Now
the thing with that, John, is
it's satisfying to like clear out an area.
Oh no, I'm the same. Like it's that Far Cry thing of like going in and like wiping out a bandit camp and like getting that that notification, or not a trophy, but like the thing that shows you cleared the camp. You know, it's that satisfying thing. But the thing with what you mentioned, like it's so big and there's so many icons on the map, you will get to a point where it's like, okay, if I need to go from here that's way down in the snow area to way up here in this like desert area, like you're gonna get to where like there's those little the fire symbol, like the camp symbol where you can basically the campfire, exactly. Why could I not think of that? The campfire symbol, and you just know that you can fast travel.
The thing with the logs and the fire,
right?
You get to where you've opened up the fast travel. You'll get to where you've opened up the fast travel, like it's pretty much anywhere you need to go. So like it won't ever feel so overwhelming. Like, oh my god, I gotta walk all the way or jump on a charger and go all the way. You know what I mean? So like it won't ever feel that overwhelming once you open up enough stuff.
Yeah, and I am glad that for Forbidden West, they like it doesn't cost you anything to teleport between those points anymore as long as you're at a camp. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case in Dawn.
I don't think so either, because I remember thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like I'm at a campsite, like I can just fast travel to another one for free instead of using like one of the little packs to do it.
Wait, you have to use packs when you're at a campsite?
No. In Dawn, I think
you can either. Yeah, in Dawn. In Dawn, I don't think it cared if you were at a campfire. You just had to keep using an item, and like I think it was like an easily like obtained item, but it was still
it was
a finite resource.
Yeah. The fast travel kit that you build craft is like all items that you're picking up by the hundreds. So it's like it's not gonna be anything you're never gonna be able to do. So
right.
Yeah. I'm also playing this game. I'm not necessarily in the mood for a game like this, so I feel like it's hurting my experience. Like I was saying earlier, I'm sort of in the mood for just like jump in, have fun type game like Kirby or Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And this game isn't scratching an itch for me, but I'm still gonna like obviously play it because I mean I love the original game, and I'm just hoping that after time it really starts to get its hooks in me, because right now I wouldn't say it is, but I don't know, it just feels a little overwhelming. Like I wish for once a studio would be like, all right guys, remember that game you loved? We're making a sequel, but this time we're not going bigger, we're going same size. It's going to be very similar to the last game in terms of the amount of time you're going to have to put into it to complete it. And one of the strengths of the original game, I thought, was, hey, this isn't overwhelming. This is a compact world. I can do everything on the map. I can finish the mainline story, and then I'll feel like doing the side stuff because I didn't just spend 30 hours or like 50 hours doing the mainline story. I don't remember how long it was, but this game I could just tell it's so much bigger than the original, and that's a turnoff for me. I don't think games need to get bigger. I think they need to get better in terms of smarter AI, better worlds that actually, like for example, like Breath of the Wild, the mechanics that are in that world, the physics engine in Breath of the Wild, I thought was really impressive. And Red Dead Redemption 2, the randomly generated like things that could happen, like you'll see someone on the side of the road and that spawns into a mission. That's the kind of stuff that's impressive to me in an open world, not checklist shit on a map. That's not impressive. Yeah. We've been doing it since Far Cry 3 and probably before that. I like new things. I want to be impressed by an open world, not check things off of a list. So that's why this world's not doing it for me. And that's why Elden Ring is actually, I'm like, wow, this looks awesome. This is exactly what I've wanted. It's not going to tell me anything. Everything's going to be a mystery. I'm going to go actually explore and not just fill in a map and do things on a checklist. So after I beat this, I'm definitely going to check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much my rant.
Midlock for president.
Yeah. Now, was there anything else you guys want to talk about in terms of what we're playing? Because there's one more main topic that John.
I just wanted to say on.
What?
I just wanted to say on Horizon, like for me, I didn't really. I'm not going to sit and go on and on. I feel like I talked about it already before, but like for me, like I love the little things that this game does that no one really talks about. And I already said in the last episode I was on, like one of the things that I loved about it are the attention to detail. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, and I'm going to bring it up again in case, someone didn't see the last show when it was on Nintendo Enthusiast. But like the DualSense controller, when you go to a campfire and your character is to the left of it, you'll feel the campfire rumbling a little bit on the left side of the controller. When you turn and go to the right, it will transfer to only feeling the campfire rumble onto the right side of the controller. Like the attention to detail is just incredible. And like another thing I noticed is when you're picking up loot, if you find a loot cache that doesn't have very much, it's got like a little bit of loot and nothing special, when you open it, it will give you just a little tiny bit of a rumble. When you find one that's got like a ton of really good loot, it will give you like a real strong rumble to it. Really so it's like the better the loot cache, it gives you a harder rumble, which it's like things like that I noticed. It's just like it's such incredible attention to detail that those are the things that like separate games from being like, it just shows how much love they put into this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying, oh yeah, I'm complaining, but I'm still liking the game. It's gorgeous. The story's really intriguing now.
Play it when you're ready.
But I have just complaints that I like to get off my chest. But I'm still having a good time, and it's a good game.
Play it when you think you'll be in the mood for it. I mean, there's no need to rush.
Yeah. Too busy playing the highly acclaimed Crossfire X campaign.
I hear the boys and girls over at IGN really gave it a pretty high score.
It was like a 3 or a 4 or something like that.
It was a 2 for the multiplayer and a 3 for
a 3 for the campaign. I don't get that. Like I feel like the campaign. That's like
insane.
This is like it's like basically Call of Duty. Like the campaign's fine. It's not amazing, but it's entertaining. Like I'm having a fun time with it. I bought the second half of it.
I do think that's unfair. Like to me, a 2 and a 3 should mean a game doesn't work. Like, come on, that's crazy to me. I don't know. But anyways,
John,
we won't get into all that.
Tell us all about Triangle Strategy, and then we'll close out the show.
Well, what would you like to know, Brett?
First off, how's the story? Are the characters interesting? Are the graphics pretty the whole time, or does it get pretty ugly? Let's start with those 3 things.
Okay, I'm gonna answer none of those things.
Okay.
All right. So,
do you consume things with your mouth?
On occasion. No, actually, what I wanted to do was I wanted to return to a question that you asked last week, Brett. Last week you asked, why didn't they just call this thing Final Fantasy Tactics? And now I have the answer. It's because it's not Final Fantasy Tactics. Like for better and for worse, sometimes for worse. So I guess I'll start with the story. So this game to me, let me just start off by saying I think this game's really fun. Like I'm liking it a lot so far. I would estimate I'm around halfway in, give or take, somewhere around there, maybe halfway in. And that being said, the game feels more to me like one of the many indie games that's like trying to like replicate Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre and not quite getting there, as opposed to like this is the Square-Enix successor to Final Fantasy Tactics. Like it's not that, and it's smart that they didn't say that it's that, because like it would have been like a world of disappointment.
Massive disappointment.
Yeah. But now that being said, again, this game is actually really fun. It's just like overall very different from Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics. So like in Final Fantasy Tactics, you get to like build up your team of dudes and like half of them are like grunts. So like you can like change their classes, you can like heavily customize them, and you can make this own like really artfully crafted, super powerful party. And in Triangle Strategy, all of your characters are like individual like story people, or at least someone with like some sort of story background. So like everyone's abilities are basically set. You can still upgrade them a little bit. Like you can upgrade like their pseudo class sort of like upwards of 2 times, but like their abilities are basically the same. You're just kind of giving them more of it. And there's a little bit of customization in like their stats, or maybe you can give them like a nice little perk, but it's not always uniform. It's kind of weird like how they choose to spread things out. But it is fun. It's satisfying to use their powers. There's 4 difficulties, so it's very much not like a hardcore Fire Emblem situation where like you either get good or you're screwed. And there's no permadeath either,
cool.
which I actually like. Like permadeath is a major reason why I never played Fire Emblem. Like too much pressure. And I know they made it optional in the new games, but then I'm just like, well, I'm not getting the real experience if I don't do permadeath, but I don't want anyone to die, so I better not ever play the entire series.
The entire series.
Yep. So with Triangle Strategy, if one of your party members dies, they just like completely poof and disappear, and they're gone for that battle. But then they're like immediately back with no penalty right afterwards, which I think is a really nice concession. If there's a way to revive anybody, like I have not seen it yet. Like I'm pretty sure they literally go poof and like that's it for the fight. But it's kind of fun because like I've literally had strategies where I'm like, all right, I'm sending these 2 characters off to die, and that's going to like free me up to like get the win. There's been like at least 2 separate times where I've done that, and like it's kind of messed up, but like it's fun. like I literally watched my character die, and I'm like, all according to plan. So
do you feel like is it like are you like in other RPGs like you could prepare your potions or whatever magic that you have like going into a battle. Is this like a like random battles, or is it like I can prepare enough before I go here and I know this person's going to die, but I have enough of health to get me through this next fight? Is it like that, or is it just
so when a battle ends, like everyone's health is restored, so you don't need to worry about like rationing health like fight to fight or whatever. But what it does do in this game, like I think it's actually kind of a funny and novel solution. So like there aren't random battles per se to like grind for your characters and whatnot, but there is the equivalent. You can go to like kind of like a tavern, and it doesn't make any sense at all, which makes it even better. You go to the tavern, you talk to the bartender. You would think that a bartender would like, serve you alcohol or like give you like rumors of the land and stuff. Instead, when you sit down and talk to the bartender, you start to imagine battles in your mind. And these battles that you imagine in your mind are the equivalent of your random battles, where you can like grind for resources that you're imagining in your head, and you magically keep all the things that you imagined in your imaginary
That's
fight.
how your grinding is. Wow, that's cool.
Thinking
That's
about grinding and it's working.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's like it's a novel mechanic. It's really funny because it makes no sense, but it's nice because there's different challenges, and they're delivered piecemeal according to your level in the story. So like there's always something you can do to conveniently level grind. So like even though it's dumb, it's really good dumb, and that's the best kind of dumb. Good dumb.
And before you continue your next thing, I just want to say F-Zero just got announced for Nintendo Switch Online, just so everyone knows. It's coming soon.
Oh, how about that?
Cool.
And 64 game.
Right. Yeah.
My son's gonna be happy because he plays it on
They
Wii.
they will never make a new F-Zero. So.
Nope. All right, next, continue.
Never.
Had to share that breaking news.
Yeah, cool. And I would say the last thing worth discussing about Triangle Strategy is it borrows the best thing from Tactics Ogre, which was the thing that basically predated Final Fantasy Tactics. It was from the same dude. And in Tactics Ogre, at major junctures in the story, you could just decide what you're going to do next, and it would like split off into like two like wildly different things. And in Triangle Strategy, they kind of bring that back. Again, I'm only around halfway into the game, so I'm not sure in like the longest term how extreme the changes are to like the end of the game, but I can already tell that like some decisions I've made, like it definitely veers off into something that like has like entirely different battles with different characters in it. So like even when I beat this game, I know there's going to be like a substantial fraction of content I haven't actually seen yet. And that's exciting because that means like, you know, there's like more stories out there than what I've seen. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just too bad that like the actual writing and the pacing isn't anywhere near as good as those old games. And that's why it feels to me more like one of those indies that's inspired by it. Like the writing's okay, it's just not like amazing. And the
Dang.
pacing is kind of whack at the start because the first 2 hours of the game, you have basically one fight, and the rest is just exposition in 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I heard that like there are like hour-long gaps between fights. So it's
at the start of the game,
type of game you're gonna have to be in the mood for.
Well, see, that's like it's unfortunate that it makes that bad first impression because the pacing has actually gotten better. Like there can be like I don't know, like maybe 20, 25 minutes between fights. Like it's nowhere near as bad as it is at the start. They did a really bad job with the beginning of the game. It gets a lot better if you can
Put it on the
stomach
back
the
of the
first 2
box.
hours.
It almost makes me wonder if people that aren't really into this type of game are going to play it and be like, I'm not into this, and not even given enough time to get into the game to see that it is actually much better, you know, and then just walk away from it being like, nah, I hated that.
Yeah. It's no, I agree completely with what you said. Like if you commit to maybe even like 4 hours as opposed to 2 hours, I feel like you're gonna have like a much different experience.
Yeah, this is also like an age-old problem with JRPGs where they can really take a long time to get into the meat and bones of the story, of the gameplay, and everything. Like I've recommended like Persona 4 Golden to a lot of people, and then they're like, this is just some high school kids talking about some murderer who's throwing people inside of a TV. I don't care about this. I'm like, no.
It gets great at hour 10.
Yeah. It gets really good at the 30-hour mark.
Yeah.
And then it's amazing. And then it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of almost the same with like TV shows too. There's certain shows where I'm like, okay, the first 2 or 3 episodes you're not gonna love, but then once you get to episode 4, it's incredible. And the people like looked at me with this gloss over look in their face, like, or in their eyes, like, I'm not gonna watch 3 hours of a show just to get to the good stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
And
I do have one
like,
question
not to beat a dead horse. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, where does the name come from? What is the triangle strategy?
Yeah. I wish I could say that it's like total BS that means nothing, but it vaguely means something. It's just that there's 3 kingdoms in the game, and the game begins with like a fragile alliance between them all based on like salt mines. So the triangle strategy just refers to like the 3 kingdoms like keeping each other in check and maintaining peace.
I thought it had something to do with the combat.
Yeah.
Like
axes
right? versus swords, swords versus spears, something like that.
I thought it was like that from Fire Emblem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was my initial thought as well. But yeah, no, yeah.
Eric made some kind of joke about the Pythagorean theorem with triangle strategy. I'm shocked that you just butchered that. I was
Pythagorean theorem. If you don't know the theorem, the game actually doesn't boot up. You have to like fill in diagram first.
Yeah. It's not multiple choice either. You have to actually answer it word for word.
Yeah. But
I have
just
no
to
idea
conclude my thought, you gotta go back to middle school math, man. But
Yay.
just to conclude my thought, one of the reasons why Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics are so well remembered is because their stories like like spectacular. Like they're not just like good RPG stories. They're like some of the best stories for video games that ever came out of Japan. Like they're both two of the absolute best. And this just isn't. Like these characters, like they're good. Like I actually do like a lot of the characters. It's just that like a lot of their actions are predictable. Like the bad guys, once they reveal who the bad guys are, their motivation is that they're bad. And like when like they reveal their next bad thing, it's like, yeah, I knew you were gonna do that because that's the only thing you could do next. You're the bad guy. That's what you're gonna do.
Like very Bowser.
So
yeah, that's
right.
It kind of sucks hearing that like the story and the characters aren't necessarily amazing or great, because I'm always catching up on my backlog, and I always come to this point where it's like, okay, do I play the new thing that everyone's talking about, or do I play the thing that the new thing is trying to be, and do I actually play the game from the 90s or the early 2000s? So I still haven't played Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics. I have it on my Vita. I booted it up like 4 times and played the intro but I've been wanting to play it. So instead of buying this, I might just go play that instead.
I you should. I mean, Tactics, like the original game on the PS1, and never started it. And that was back when I was using my own money to purchase games. But I don't know. I have no idea why still to this day I never started it. I bought it and never started it.
Dang, it's totally worth playing, because see that's a great example of a game where it picks up immediately. So the tutorial, or like the first fight in that game, it starts like in media race. You're at like, I think, a church. You're with this cool Dark Knight dude, and you're fighting to keep this I think it's a princess safe. And like you're not sure what's going on. You just know that you really need to protect this person, and it's like this brutal fight, and you're not really sure who's totally good or bad. And then it jumps back in time, and then you start seeing like how you got to like this weird quasi desperate point. And like it pieces things out in a way where you can actually understand it, and it weaves like this awesome story with like these complex characters and these weird twisting motivations. And like that's how you tell a story. You don't do a 2-hour exposition dump right away with like literally every character in the game. That's not how you do it. But
it's like an overload.
Yeah, for sure. But I will reemphasize though, having the ability to like branch paths in the story, that is genuinely exciting, and it enriches the story as a whole, to like have some say in like, wow, I'm going in this totally different path than if I'd gone that way. Like I think the game's kind of worth it for that alone, in addition to the gameplay just being like really solid.
Yeah, like you could have a totally different experience than your friend, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
but also
that's good stuff.
That could also mean someone has a really great experience, and the other person has like a mediocre story that wasn't as good. I'm assuming.
Potentially.
Because with Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I chose the red house, and I was like, if I would have chose the other houses, like this story wouldn't have been nearly as impactful, because something happens with a character that I'm like really close with, and if I was in another house, that like I wouldn't even like know the character or even care. You know what I mean?
All I could think about is Brett's experience with All I could think about is Brett's experience with Mass Effect.
What about it?
Oh my god, dude!
Destroyed the ending.
That Brett.
Where I destroyed the ending, and then really I messed up the ending of Mass Effect 2, because like all these characters died. Every person I talked to, the characters didn't die, and like it was.
Dude, Brett experiencing Mass Effect.
Oh, she doesn't know. She's a huge fan of Mass Effect. She doesn't know what I did.
Yeah, Mary, just to bring you up to speed before we close.
Brett killed him a jackass, and it's worth it.
Brett killed his entire crew in Mass Effect 2, and then in Mass Effect 3.
I don't know how.
And then in Mass Effect 3, the big lead-up moment, and then like where he's supposed to make a choice, he chose to see if I should see if I can shoot this hologram, and he shoots the kid hologram, and then he gets like a 1-minute ending, literally a 1-minute ending, and never replayed the last mission ever again.
Mary's eyes when he said that.
Okay. So to be like, in my defense, do you ever do that stupid thing in games where you're like, I'm gonna point at this character and shoot him in the forehead because nothing will happen? I totally thought that shooting that kid hologram in the head, nothing would happen. No, it ended the game.
He goes,
literally,
"It
that
seems
was
you
the
made your
ending of the game.
choice."
Yep.
Yep, he
that was
says
your-
you made your choice, and he just walks off, and I get like a 30 to 60 minute cutscene, and that was it.
Second.
Yeah.
And Brett
as
was like,
soon-
dude, there's like this big dramatic thing that you missed out on.
Yeah. No, as soon as you said like the ending of Mass Effect 2, I was like, I know exactly what's about to happen because yeah, like your first time playing that, if you go in blind,
You don't
it gets
know the
really
systems
ugly
of
really
saving
fast.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We'll have to talk off the show. Like
Yeah.
I made, and I don't know what I did wrong, but I had like the worst experience possible, and I still loved the game, but I had like the worst experience you could possibly have with it.
Just go play the last mission and get your real ending, you son of a
I know.
bitch.
I need to.
But yeah, this
I'm
has
going
been.
to.
Oh, sorry, Brett. Any
No, you're
final
good.
thing to say?
You're good.
This has been
Nope.
Spot Dodge. Mary, if people want to know where to find you, where can they go?
You can find me on Twitch and on Twitter, Mary Wants a Cookie.
Mary wants a cookie.
Yeah.
Did you ever get one?
Always. I get lots of them.
Same. Too many. Greg, where can people go to find you? And what are you up to?
Just chilling, man. Over on PC Invasion, you can find some of my articles there. But on all my socials, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, I play a lot of Apex Legends and some other games, mostly Apex Legends. You'll find my clips there at dynamite_giraffe. If you would. Oh, and on YouTube, I'm in the chat as well too. Please help me get my followers up because I suck.
Brett, if people want to follow you, where can they go?
I mean, pretty much everywhere that I'm at, I use B_Lars24. Twitter is probably the easiest place to find me.
And it's on the screen right now if you're a video watcher and not an audio listener.
is.
John, where can people go to find you and shout out your game that you're making?
You can find me in Greg's comment section telling him he sucks.
Damn! I thought it was going to be some positive reinforcement.
I will be there too. I will be there too.
Also telling him he sucks.
I'll come cheer
Yes.
you on. Don't you worry, man. I got
Yay.
you back. I'm on Twitter. It's my name at John Friscia, JOHNFRISCIA. And I'm making a game called Boss Saga. That's
right.
boss-saga.com. If you ever want to check out that website, you play as the bosses and you're going to beat up the good guys in JRPG boss fights. Hopefully it'll be a good time when it comes out in like 25 years.
Yes.
John, do you have screenshots or like clips of the game yet? I went to the website and tried to find some, but maybe I was on the wrong part of the page.
There's screenshots all over the website.
I saw.
Okay, maybe I was just at the wrong spot. I clicked on one of your links and it brought me to. Maybe I just didn't look far enough.
Maybe it sent you to a blog post.
That might have been it.
Yeah, the
I'll go
homepage has
tonight and look.
a few beta shots.
Okay.
And if you want to find me, you can find me hosting this podcast right here, Spot Dodge. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But also, if you're an audio listener, go over and check out our podcast feed. I edit a little bit, trim a little bit of the fat. Over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We also we upload the audio version for people who don't want to watch a hour and a half long stream. So, and lastly, Snapchat. We do a show, the Destructoid Show. I put so much freaking effort into this show every single week. So please go subscribe to this show on Snapchat.
It's actually really good too. It's really good.
It's hard. It's hard to make the show. So please come support it. It would really mean a lot. And Mary's over there hosting as well. She's funny.
Hey.
I try. I try to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's it. This has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. And we will talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.